Good morning.
Good morning.
If you'd like to stand, we'll sing our call to worship. That was a little quick. One, two, 3, 4.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Unity of Traverse City. My name is Blake Ringsmith, and I am pleased as punch to be your worship assistant. We have some announcements that I'd like to share with you. We have a video contest going on. If you haven't already done so, please vote in the Unity Worldwide Ministries video contest. You'll find the link to the voting site at the UTC website or the e-newsletter. Thank you for supporting our efforts to promote Unity of Traverse City. It's a lovely video. This is our week to buy our script cards, which is our fundraiser for one of the fundraisers for the church. If you buy a gift card through the script program, it doesn't cost you anything additional, and it's a great way to earn a little extra money for the church. You can fill out a form, which is on a table outside the kitchen down the hallway there. And also don't forget to bring in your receipts from Olson's Grocery, as they generously give back to the church a percentage of the receipts collected. The jar for the receipts is on the table in the fellowship hall. And as you may recall, we have some captioning software that we've been trying to use. It's installed and running, but unfortunately it has some limitations and we're hesitant to continue with it. After the service today, Rowdy, who is our sound technician extraordinaire, will be showing you how it works. If anyone's interested, see Rowdy after the service so you can see what works and what doesn't. And then finally, I have a request. Ann Walker, who is a newly elected board member here, her roommate had an accident at work and fractured his skull. And he is in ICU and needed brain surgery. So Ann has requested prayers for him, and we'll hold them both in our thoughts and prayers, so please. All right, with that, a congregational song.
Tis the gift to be simple, tis the gift to be free, tis the gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, to be in the valley of love and delight, when true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
And now let's begin with an opening prayer. Father, Mother God, we are blessed to be here today together. Blessed by the presence of one another, the sharing, the music, the time to come apart from our busy world to enjoy the music and the message. And for this opportunity that we have every Sunday morning, we are so very grateful. Together we say, Amen. Let us say our statement of unity, which is on the screens, please, together. I claim divine peace in this now moment.
I go to God in prayer. I know my God is there. In the silence I hear that the dark holds no fear. So I go to my God in prayer. I go to God in prayer. I know my God is there. My connection is sound, so I pray as Christ taught. When I go to my God in prayer, I go to God in prayer. I know my God is there. Peace and tranquility, love is waiting for me as I go to my God in prayer. Now I go to my God in prayer. So I go to my God in prayer.
And as the lights come down, As the lights come down, we become centered in our seats, knowing it is our time for meditation, our chance to go internally to our God in prayer. I invite you to take some slow and deep cleansing breaths. Yeah. In and out. And with each in breath, you're breathing in the love of God as exuded by those around you now. And you're breathing out any concerns or tensions. With each breath in and out, you become more and more connected with the Christ presence within you. And as you become more and more connected, you feel more peaceful. And as you become more connected, you feel joy. The joy of this moment now. For this moment being together. For this moment of putting aside human concerns. For it is in this moment now that we may revel in that divine presence, that Christ within. We let go of any other cares. For we have this together now. Now and here is the only thing that is real. Now and here is love. The past does not exist. The future is not real. As you continue breathing deeply and slowly, I invite you to feel your feet as they connect with the earth. And that is real. And that is now. I invite you to focus on your breath in and out. For that is real. And that is now. And I invite you to feel your chest expand with the love of Christ. The joy of this moment of taking time away. For that is real. And that is right now. And as we enter into the silence, we are reminded of what is real. And that is this now moment together. And as we return to this place, we know that our nature is love, and that love is the only thing that is real. And that is ours in each moment. And for this knowing, and for this time to being together here now, we are so grateful. And together we say, Amen.
Easy, go easy now. Just breathe in, breathe out. Take time, make time now to breathe in, breathe out. Grateful, so grateful now to breathe in, breathe out. Easy, go easy now. Just breathe in, breathe out. Take time, make time now to breathe in, breathe out, breathe out. Let's just stay there for the rest of the day, shall we? That was my intention, of course. To take time to make time to breathe. However many times is required throughout your day right now. The most important thing we can do is to make that time. In 3 of the Gospels in the New Testament, there is the story. Mark, Matthew, and Luke all have very similar versions of the master teacher calming the sea, calming the storms. And in all of those, there was a lot going on. He was having kind of a busy day, healing people, performing miracles left and right all over the place. And he came down from the hill, and there was a throng of thousands of people that were following him to the edge of the Sea of Galilee. And he instructed the disciples, basically, get me out of here for a minute, I need a break. That's paraphrasing, of course. So he instructed them, he got in the boat, and they said, take me to the other side of the lake, the Sea of Galilee. He just needed some quiet time. He needed to replenish and breathe. He needed quiet time to gather himself and bring his energy back to himself. He'd been giving and giving and giving and giving. And all through this process, the disciples are just like, yeah, he's doing miracles and miracles and miracles and miracles and all this kind of stuff. By now, they're kind of used to it, right? So he goes to sleep in the back of the boat, and suddenly this big storm blows up, and they become afraid. And they wake him up, and they say, we're going to drown, we're going to die here, do something about it. And, he kind of stretches a little bit, and he gets up, and he just says, quiet, be still, peace, be still. And he calms the winds, and he calms the waves, and he calms the storm. And they look at him amazed, and he looks back at them, and he says, do you still not get it? Basically, where is your faith, O ye of little faith? He's just been doing all of this massive, massive miracle making. And they're in the boat, and because he's sleeping, they become afraid. They haven't quite gotten it yet. The appearance, the experience, everything that we are going through right now in this country, on this planet, big storms, would you say? Lots of changes. Lots of changes. And our work in this time is to not be afraid. And we say, well, that's all fine and good because they had that dude hanging around that was doing miracles all the time. Well, guess what? All those those many years ago, he was teaching us we can do the same. We have been going back and forth and around and around and around about this for thousands of years, since that period of time, since it was written down, that he was teaching us how to do the same thing. And we can and we do. Whether we know it or not, most of the time we don't. We are performing miracles every day. Most of the time, we are not aware of it. When we step back from the fear, when we step back from the drama, when we step back from the chaos, and we say, I am not going to be afraid, I am not going to let something, circumstances, appearances, or conditions take me down, we are shifting
and we are performing miracles in our own lives. We are not attaching to the condition. If we're talking about metaphysics, we're talking about quantum physics, we're talking about this teaching in unity in New Thought, everything begins as a thought. Everything begins as an idea. And the master teacher said to us the words we hear all the time, and yet we just kind of go, yeah, okay, I get it, yeah. It is done to us as we believe. The thing about what is happening in the world right now is, yes, it is shocking, it is heartbreaking, there is so much happening at once. But it didn't just start yesterday or last week or 3 weeks ago or a month ago or 6 months ago. We live day in and day out with change. The prayer request for Anne and her coworker, that stuff happens day in and day out. We get injured. We have a death in the family. We lose a job. We get a diagnosis. We lose a pet. Change is happening day in and day out on our personal level. And right now, we are seeing it on a global scale because we can and we do. We have the technology that connects us to all of that information, all of the misinformation. If we think about in Jesus's time, it took a long time for word to spread that stuff was going on. And most of the time, it stayed regionally. It stayed within a city. It stayed within a community. And now we are inundated with this change, things happening all the time, and it is overwhelming. It can overload us, and we can just go, yep, I'm going to stick my head in the sand and wait till it passes. And that is one option. It is absolutely one option. If we think about all of you boaters in the room, all of you sailors in the room, and the calming of the storm, there are things that we can do to navigate if we get caught in a sudden storm. Well, the first thing is, number one, before you ever go out, pay attention to the weather, right? Paying attention to what is going on around us. It is the going in and becoming still. It is going in and checking in with our God self, with our higher power, with that infinite intelligence that we have access to that is living and breathing and expressing itself as us day in and day out. The metaphor or the teaching in the Jesus standing up and saying, quiet, be still, peace, be still. The command, the absolute commitment and attachment to knowing his connection to source was so unshakable, unmistakable. We have the ability to do that because we are connected to it. And it is a practice. And basically what that looks like is that when we say, peace be still, we're making a declaration that says, for better or worse, I am accepting what is happening in the moment. That is the first part of navigating this. When you're in a storm, when you find yourself in it, something has just happened, something has shaken your world. The Buddha says, change is not painful, it is our resistance to it that is painful. That's what causes the pain. When our first response is, oh, that shouldn't have happened, well, it did happen. That's the hardest thing to accept. It's like I'm standing here looking at the evidence of something that just happened going, that shouldn't have happened. It's like, well, you know what? But it did. It sounds silly, but that's how we are wired sometimes. That's our conditioning that just says, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. Yeah, well, if you shoulda, coulda, woulda, you woulda. Right? So it is taking the breath, stepping back, saying, peace, be still. Peace within me. Be still within me so I can get some clarity here. That's the thing. Number one is acceptance. This is what's happening. Now what? Now what? And when we are in the quiet and the stillness is when we can hear what's next. We can hear what's next. What is ours to do in this moment? When we are railing against, when we are saying, it's not fair, that's not, it shouldn't be, that's wrong, they're wrong. I should, life isn't fair. We know that. It's not fun to admit that, but it's not. Nature doesn't appear to be fair in any way. Stuff happens. And the thing is, we are under the effects of the collective consciousness, and we are under the effects of our own consciousness. And so when it looks like stuff going on that we had nothing to do with, yeah, we're affected by it. Because we don't live on an island. There are 8 billion of us here affecting one another day in and day out. So being still, peace be still, going within, allows us to sit for a minute and step back and take a breath and go, okay, higher power, infinite wisdom, intelligence within me. What is mine to do in this moment? And sometimes, most of the time, it is, don't just do something, sit there. Until you are quiet enough and still enough, you still the waters, you calm the winds within, that you can hear the whisper and the instructions and the guidance that are being given directly to you and you alone. To be expressed in only the way that you can express it, to take the divine action in only the way that you can do it. And then the third part of that is do it. We ask for guidance all the time. What is happening? Why is this happening? I talked about this in the realms of consciousness, that asking why is the most disempowering question you can ever ask. And I see nodding heads. You know that. I remember years and years and years ago, one of my first therapists, and I was like, why? And she said, you will drive yourself nuts trying to find the answer to that question. The most empowering question is, who do I need to be? Who can I be in this moment? And what I mean by the empowering is showing up as the God self you are. Standing in full power, in your full uniqueness, in your full, not like anybody else self. As love, as beauty, as peace, as compassion. Showing up fully takes a lot of courage. Because guess what? We easily go into fear. If there's an idea that harm will befall us if we stand up in our true light. One of the things that came to me this last week, it's another version of something that I talked about last time I was here. I'm noticing that there are many, many, many people that are going through multiple dark nights of the soul at the same time. I see lots of nodding heads with that as well. And the thing is, what I have learned as I went through my own version of that just a few years ago, and most of you know that. There was a lot. There were those just one after another, after another, after another, after another, and it was like, really? Until I got to the place with a lot of practice that said, this is going to stop. Peace be still. Peace be still within me. This isn't working. And obviously, it wasn't because God wasn't working the right way. It was me that wasn't working the right way. I had to change in order to change my circumstances. And everything else around me, outside of me, changed when I changed. It wasn't like suddenly the mass conspiracy, or whatever you want to call it, stopped being itself. It was, I changed and everything else changed around me. That is what we are called to do in these times. To not go into fear, to go into the silence, and not only listen to, but act on the guidance that we are seeking. And the thing about these multiple things is we're not being tested. That's the fallacy. We are not being tested to prove that we are worthy of being loved, that we are worthy of peace, that we are worthy of all of these things in our lives. It is that what I'm seeing is we have all been doing the work enough to say we are now equipped. Whether we believe it yet or not, we are equipped for these times, exactly these times. And it is not for going in and saying, okay, I'm ready for battle, and I'm going to fight evil, I'm going to make it stop, I'm not going to use force, I'm not going to do that. The wind in my sails is the love of God. Not retribution, not revenge, not anything, because what I know, and I see it again and again and again every single day, is that we have a lot of people that have been doing their work. A lot of people that have been doing their work. And the reflection is those that have not, or don't know how, or don't have the courage, or have not maybe hit that bottom so hard that they have to change and stop looking outside themselves to say, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault that I'm in pain. This shift that is happening in consciousness, in the collective consciousness, is so much greater than the appearances of inhumanity right now. It doesn't look that way because we're connected and we're connected and we're connected and we're connected by technology. And so it seems like the storm is bigger than it actually may be, unless we give into it. When we are boating, when we are on our boats, what do we do in a storm? If we're caught in the storm, we don't sit sideways, beam in the waves, we face it. The boat was made to cut through the water. There are ways that we can manage. We don't just sit there and just bob around endlessly. We have to take action to keep the boat faced into the waves. Otherwise, we will get turned, and we will get thrown upside down, and the mast will break, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When we talk about surrender, it is not just throwing up your hands and saying, I can't do anything about this. The surrender is about, I am powerless over this particular thing, but there is something for me to do. Because I am an expression of God. I do have the power. I do have access to the wisdom and the intelligence and the creativity. And at the heart of every one of us is love and compassion. We want to connect in kind ways. And so our job is not to create more storm and more chaos. It is to retreat from it, because guess what? We saw it coming. We've seen it coming. And not just in the last week or the last 3 weeks or the last 6 months or the last whatever, but throughout history, human history, we have seen it coming again and again and again if we are paying attention, if we are doing our work. So you see, it's not a black and white thing that happens. In the Science of Mind magazine, in the Science of Mind textbook, this is about faith and about conviction. In the chapter on faith, and Ernest Holmes writes, mental science does not deny the divinity of Jesus, but does affirm the divinity of all people. Jesus was the Son of God, but it affirms that all men and women are sons of God. It does not deny that the kingdom of God was revealed through Jesus, but it says that the kingdom of God is also revealed through you and me. Jesus said, if ye have faith as a grain of a mustard seed, you'll just say to this mountain, move, and the mountain will be moved. Nothing shall be impossible to you. Faith is centered in and cooperates with divine mind. Because we fail to realize that principle is not bound by precedent, we limit our faith to that which has already been accomplished, and very few quote-unquote miracles occur. When, through intuition, faith finds its proper place under divine law, there are no limitations, and what are called miraculous results follow. While Jesus remained with the disciples, meaning while he was still here on earth, their faith, for the most part, was of the same as his. But as the years passed and his followers became more and more immersed in objective organization, the do list, not the be list, they were doing the do list, they ceased to preach the necessity of a living faith. I'm sorry, let me read that again. As the years passed and his followers became more and more immersed in objective organization, they ceased to preach the necessity of a living faith. In fact, a few hundred years later, the Christians, the new Christians, were teaching that the early miracles were merely the proof of the divinity of Jesus. They missed the message, and we've been missing the message for a long time. If we are to have an active faith, the faith of God instead of merely faith in God, our thought must be centered in universal mind. We are convinced that under divine law all things are possible if we only believe and work in conformity with the principles of that law. Such a faith does not spring fully orbed into being, but grows by knowledge and experience. No matter what the outside appearance, we must cling steadfastly to the knowledge that God is good, God is all, underneath, above, and round about. Thus we shall be able to say with conviction, I know in whom I have believed. And when we say, peace be still, we can calm the winds and the storms. Some of the writing that I was doing around things this week is that everyone is a mirror in our own consciousness. What is happening now is a reflection of the conflicts of the collective consciousness between those who know the healing that rigorous honesty with ourselves and others can bring, and with those who are too caught up in conditions to know their misery and suffering is not because of anything outside of themselves. We are the place where God shows up. That's the truth. It moves and breathes and has its being in us and as us. And our practice is to affirm that, to meditate on it, to contemplate it, and allow ourselves, give ourselves permission, and I'm going to give you permission too, to know this. When we are grounded in the truth of who we are, when we stand in the truth of who we are, nothing can topple us. Nothing. That's the important thing to know. This coming week, Ash Wednesday is Wednesday. And I know in the Unity tradition that Charles Fillmore, it wasn't about fasting from food. It was not about any of that. It was fasting from destructive, constrictive thought, judgment, gossip. Release that, practice letting it go. Fasting and feasting on ideas of love and oneness and our connection to Source. This week also on March 7th, which I believe is Friday, is the World Day of Prayer. Informed prayer and prayerful action is the 2025 theme for the World Day of Prayer. The observance, celebrated annually on the first Friday of March, is a worldwide ecumenical movement of women of many traditions who come together each year to observe a common day of prayer. It is carried out by women in more than 170 countries and regions and brings women of different races, cultures, and traditions together in fellowship, understanding, and action. Through World Day of Prayer, women affirm that prayer and action are inseparable and have immeasurable influence on the world. I have a quote from another master teacher, Emily Cady, Lessons in Truth. Those of you familiar with that, you might even have some in your bookstore or library out there, but I highly recommend it. Because March 8th is International Women's Day. Emily Cady says, when we talk to God, that is prayer. When God talks to us, that is inspiration. We go apart to get still so that new life, new inspiration, new power of thought, new supply from the fountainhead may flow in. And then we come forth to shed it on those around us that they too may be lifted up. So peace, be still. With conviction, with everything you've got. It's okay to shout it in those moments rather than dropping an F-bomb or something like that. Practice using peace, be still. Peace, be still. Know I am God. Know God is within me. Each one of us is the place where God shows up. Every one of us. So the peace part is acceptance of what is. The be still part is getting quiet enough to hear the guidance. And knowing that you are God in expression, you can take inspired action. And with all of those things, you will be able to quiet any storm. So thank you. It is so good to see you all. It's great to be back. Namaste.
Thank you, Kit. Now is the time to consider our love offering, a time to share our financial gifts with the ministry. As children of a loving God, we live in the light of abundance, deeply grateful for all that has been given and all that is yet to come. We embrace the good that God provides with joy and thanksgiving. Let us say our prosperity blessing together. My prosperity from God includes guidance and peace of mind.
Great. You're going to get to sing along with me at this one. It's very easy. It's a song by my buddy, Eddie Watkins Jr. It's called I Am the Place Where God Shows Up. strong enough to bear the burdens that sometimes come with living this thing called life? Am I wise enough to make the right decisions when I'm standing at a fork in the road? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone, and there's nothing that I have to do on my own, 'cause I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Well, I have enough to do the things I need to do to take care of myself. Will I have the health of mind and body to live a life of grace and wholeness? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone, and there's nothing that I have to do on my own, 'cause I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Yes, you can sing along. I am the place. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Let me hear ya. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God shows up.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. As we bring our service to a close, if there's anyone here for the first time, our ushers have packets that are available to you. Please feel free to reach out. We also have prayer chaplains available at the front of the sanctuary here and also in the hall. You'll recognize them by their orange name tags. Let's see. I think with that, we should circle up and bring our service to a finality as we always do.
God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.